Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's another episode of the Spartan Shadows podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris. I'm joined with my co host, Zach and Emmett. Uh, Coming at you with our normal kind of weekly episode. A lot's been happening, so we've been trying to cover the important stuff as it comes out, but figured it's time to get you kind of caught up on the rest of the happenings around campus. Emmett is actually joining us from campus, so forgive if his video or sound is a little off, but he's was on campus for the donation press conference this morning and will be for hockey tonight. And then, got some football news, some donation news, some basketball news, some hockey news. We'll try to hit it all and keep it pretty brief for you. So, Zach, Emmett, thanks for joining me. How you guys doing?
Doing good. What a week for MSU athletics. Just insane. It like a week ago we were talking and thinking about like what MSU the football program was going to be like, and now it's like 180-degree like switch. Like it's like hey, we got a donation. We got Pat Fitzgerald, the next head coach. Just a really fun last week for MSU, at least last couple of days, to be completely
For sure.
honest with you.
Yeah, and I completely agree with Zach. You've just seen this go from a program with really, you almost wondered what they were doing, spinning the wheels, no direction, into you have a clear goal in mind. You have the donors who are excited and willing to send the money in to Michigan State, and that is making all the difference in the world right now, as you can see with the recent news and everything going on campus.
Absolutely. And we can start right there. I know we've talked kind of emergency pod related when Coach Smith was fired and Coach Fitz was supposedly going to be the answer. Since then, he's been hired. He had quite the introductory press conference and then off and running right into his flurry of getting recruits to either sign on or not for National Signing Day, which was this week and ended today for the early signing period. So lots for Coach Fitz on his place. He doesn't have a staff in yet, so there's obviously more to fill out. But what are your guys' thoughts? Coach Fitz, it's a hire, the press conference introduction, the job he's done this week on the recruiting trail, just kind of everything. I guess we can sum it up in just your guys' quick thoughts, and of course I'll give mine at the end. But what are we thinking? Coach Fitz is the new coach for MSU football.
Yeah, no, I want to give a few like shout outs or praises. Obviously, I think Coach Fritz has done a great job since getting to the program. I think he's done a really good job of kind of getting these recruits to sign, a majority of them. Not all of them, obviously, lost a couple, but just the way like the process has worked, I think it's been really successful. I also do want to give, and I don't think people are talking enough about it, is Jonathan Smith and the last coaching staff that we had. It seems like they truly sold a lot of these guys on MSU, the program itself, and not necessarily himself. Now, obviously, he's not going to be the head coach anymore, but MSU's done a good job of just selling itself to these players and not just like the one, like, hey, this is like my team. And I think you have to give obviously a ton of credit to Jonathan Smith, the past coaching staff, but you also ton of credit to Coach Fritz as well. He's been really, really busy the last couple of days. Cade Kaufman was like the first like kind of like big moment that I think MSU had earlier today as well. We end up signing a 4-star offensive lineman that there's really questions about if he was going to sign or if it was going to be in
Colin Campbell.
February. Yeah, Colin Campbell. His post talking about the double decker green McDonald's was great. That truly love that always. That'll always be one of the more fun parts of it. But yeah, no, I thought Coach Fitzgerald just did everything he needed to do when it came to recruiting wise, and when it came to his press conference and even his introduction at Breslin, I thought he said all the right things. You saw really he gave more emotion than we saw Jonathan Smith ever gave, which I think is what people really want. And then you had the quote or basically the statement where he mentioned the Michigan game. And he's like, hey, like, we know there's one game that's more important than the others. And he's like, that's as far as I will go with that. But you have a guy that doesn't like Michigan. You have a guy that truly understands what it's like to be in the Big Ten. And I think he's saying all the right things. And I think he's doing all the right things as of right now. Obviously, it's to be determined at this point. You don't necessarily know what the staff's going to look like, what players are going to leave, what players they're going to bring in. But so far, pretty good start, if I have to say.
Yeah, I completely agree with Zach. It's really, I would say, hard to lose a press conference at the very start, but So far, the actions have aligned with it, just in terms of signing day. You were able to keep your class together. You were able to have a class that wasn't like Penn State's, unfortunately, kind of ended up being. So you were able to maintain a class, and yeah, you lost a couple kids. I think the concern definitely is defensive line. I'll make a brief mention that Stone Chaney announced he's transferring today. That means you are down 4 defensive linemen for your 2026 roster, which that is a slight concern after the decommits of Fiamatu Fiale, not sure how to pronounce that one, sorry in advance. Then you also had Chris Addison, Christopher Knowles Jr., and Cheney now. You are down 4 defensive linemen, which that is something to note. I think you might see a change in defensive scheme. We'll break that down later when we have reaction to coaching hires, but that's just my first really spitball that I could say you might see is a different change of philosophy and scheme under Fitzgerald and his defensive coordinator hire when you have 3 edges already off the roster, in a way what the roster would have been for 2026. But overall, yeah, he said all the right things. So far, he's done all the right things in keeping the class together, getting a couple flips for who we thought would be scheme fits, continuing the pursuit of the offensive lineman from Miami, Ohio. I know the last name starts with Z. I'm completely blanking right now. Zaire, I want to say. But overall, that's what you have seen so far is he's said all the right things and he's doing all the right things. Obviously, you need to see these staff hires. You need to see how this portal class shapes up and how you retain your current roster and who you want to keep on for 2026, because that's really what's going to decide the Fitzgerald hire for me. And honestly, if it was any coach besides, like, say, Kalen DeBoer of Alabama or any of the top coaches, Dan Lanning, Ryan Day, I would still be withholding judgment until I see how the portal and everything shapes up. It's not a surefire grand slam, but at the same time, I think there are about 10 coaches all of us can come up with that we would call a slam dunk hire on day one. So this is nothing against Fitz. This is just I need to see what's going on for the future of the program before I really go and give a full grade on this hire. But so far, the early grade, I would say, is trending in that B plus A minus range.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that name, I believe you were talking about Zach Ziarko. Is that what you were talking about, Emmett?
Ziarko. Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I don't have my computer in front of me. Normally I can Google this before talking on my spiel, but I'm literally in the Spartan Stadium parking lot right now before heading over to Mount Ice Arena.
Yep. No worries. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's who he's talking about, but
yeah, Ziarko.
yeah.
My bad, Ziarko family, if you're watching, but yeah.
Yeah, welcome edition, of course, but yeah, I was really impressed with Coach Fitz's really at first the ability to retain what he did of the 2026 recruiting class and the players from this past year. Obviously, we got word that a lot of the key pieces of this current team that we've had are coming back, with the exception of maybe Nick Marsh and a couple other pieces that are going to enter the portal. And then you went ahead and locked down pretty much all of your recruiting class minus a couple fits on the defensive line that maybe, like Emmett alluded to, that we aren't thinking might be scheme fit. That worked out really, really great, in my opinion, to be able to get letters of intent from 18 kids so far signed. Samson Gash is still up in the air. I don't know if that's going to end up working out for us with everything going on, but he has not signed anywhere yet, so I guess there's still a chance. But other than that, I thought it was a great job, and Zach mentioned it too. Coach Smith really, helping keep that class being sold on MSU and not just him. And it was kind of brought up this week that he had maybe been reaching out to players and stuff maybe before he was fired, and I guess potentially, I don't know for sure, but after, saying, hey, it's the program. The program is the same, whether I'm there, whether another coach is there. Michigan State's the place to be. And it really did kind of help sell and lock that down. So I was impressed with Fitz's ability to be able to do that without having an offensive staff in place, an offensive staff, coaching staff in place. From what I've kind of gathered, I would imagine there's going to be a decent amount of turnover on the coaching staff. Really, the only 2 coaches of the past staff that I saw really getting after it on social media and kind of interacting with the recruits were Coach Hawk and Coach Waz. I don't know anything on whether or not they're coming back, but I would just think that, the way they were interacting with the recruits on social media maybe is a good sign. Joe Rossi did have a tweet today that said it was a privilege coaching these 2 couple players. I think Jordan Hall was one of them. I forgot who was the other.
Hall and Wayne Masters.
Wayne Matthews. So I don't know if that's indicating that he won't be back or what, but obviously you can speculate on your own. That's going to be, I think, Coach Fitch's next step is starting to get that staff assembled and figure out schematically what the direction is. So far, so good, and really his passion, his fire was easily seeable from the get go on the press conference, and it's kind of rained through all week. He's been popping up on campus and at the Breslin Center, getting the crowd hyped up, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's exciting to see kind of inject this new life into MSU athletics and really inject this new life into the donors, which I'll kind of segue into today's big announcement, which was a donation to Michigan State University from Greg and Dawn Williams. Greg Williams is the CEO of Acusure, insurance business. They do a lot of stuff, actually. And then they also have, if you heard the name Acusure before, it's Michigan-based, but they also sponsor that. I think they have the naming rights for Steelers Stadium. It's not Heinz Field anymore. But so they've been coming up a lot more late and doing really well. Announced today that they were gifting $401 million to Michigan State University. It kind of broke down 390 million, I believe, was going towards athletic in some regard. You had 100 of that going to Spartan Ventures, and then 290 going to other athletic stuff, and then 11 million going to the School of Business, Entrepreneurship Program, the marching band
program, and the marching band.
Yep, and the mascot program, Sparty, getting some Sparty mascot stuff going. I would imagine some new suits maybe in the works for Sparty potentially, but it was great to see money. And Greg Williams made a point that this was not being funded by Acusure; it was being funded out of their personal bank accounts. So it's something they wanted to give back to the university, which was awesome to see. Huge gift.
And no naming rights.
No naming rights.
Huge.
So you're not going to see Spartan Stadium at Acusure Field or something like that. It was all done for the university out of their own personal account. So that was really nice to see. They had a nice press conference today. Jay Batt, Kevin Guskowitz, all talking very highly. Tom Izzo was there in a suit, might we add. I know that's been a hot button issue on social media, but Tom Izzo was there in a suit.
Why do you think I tweeted it out today?
I was just going to say it's foreshadowing for tomorrow. He knows he needs to bring back the suit against Duke.
Oh my gosh.
Well, in case anybody was wondering, for the suit watchers, we have a price. If you donate $400 million, Tom Izzo might put a suit on.
Hey, if you do that directly to the basketball program, maybe he'll do that for the rest of the time he's coaching. So anyone out there listening, if you want to donate $400 million directly to basketball, if you ask Izzo to wear suits for the rest of his career, maybe he'll say yes.
Yeah, maybe.
If you donate $400 million to Spartan Shadows podcast, I'll wear a suit for every single recording we do.
And eat a steak.
I was just gonna say we all would wear suits for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, we'd wear a suit for every recording rest of our life if it was for $400 million. Let's be real here.
Absolutely. So. But yeah, it was a great donation, great gift. It's going to be used in a lot of upgrades for athletic facilities, as the renderings this week have came out. Spartan Stadium getting some upgrades. Well, for Sparta, I guess we should say, but the plan is to hopefully get Spartan Stadium some upgrades, the Breslin some upgrades, Munn some upgrades, Jenison some upgrades, a whole bunch of stuff. So it's pretty exciting at times. What are your guys' thoughts? You want to touch on that before we get into basketball and hockey?
It's kind of like Oprah. Like, you get an upgrade, everyone gets an upgrade. I love it, and obviously, like, it's a huge donation. It's a huge gift. Obviously the largest ever at Michigan State. I think it's one of the largest in the entire country. I saw someone tweet or something, and I looked it up, and 300 million was up there as well. So insane amount. Obviously, I think it changes a lot. I think the timetable has now moved up, especially for football, in my opinion. Maybe that's a little ridiculous, but we all know what basketball has done, and it sounds like basketball is going to probably get a lot of it. And we know what Izzo has done already. And there's been rumors that that he's been given more money and stuff like that, which is obviously great. I think basketball is where we want it to be, but football is where the cash comes from, and it's going to be now a lot about the minimum of next year is going to be a bowl game. It has to be. At this point, with how much money's getting injected into this program, with how much money's getting injected into MSU athletics, this is an athletic department that has to be top 10 at this point. There's no excuses anymore. MSU has the money to do so. The whole idea of MSU being poor, that was somehow propagated by some sort of media members that we won't go into very much anymore. But this changes everything, and expectations should be not only success but thriving for MSU sports, especially the main ones.
I do agree mostly with what Zach said. I will backpedal a little on a bowl game being the expectation, just because you need to see how this portal class shakes up in terms of who's entering the portal, because everyone's getting this influx of money right now, so you might see more talented players staying home and staying with their current stuff, because I do not think Michigan State for 2026 currently has the talent to make a bowl game, just being frank here. But I do think depending on how the portal class shakes up, depending on who's available and who the Spartans can land, I definitely think if you can land a top, regardless, you should be able to land a top 15 portal class. If you can get a top 10 class, a top 5 class, you can try to sneak into that 7-8 win mark. Now, obviously, we were saying this without even knowing who's in the portal. The portal doesn't open until January 2nd, but this is, of course, just looking at what we have coming in and everything. The expectations should be sky high for Michigan State for almost every athletic department at this point. You have enough money, and you're going to have top-notch facilities pretty soon. So this is something that needs to be seen. Worth mentioning, the $290 million, we don't know if it's going directly into Fort Sparta or what. I forgot to clarify that with any of the MSU spokespeople around. That's on me. Hand up in the air, my bad. But the $100 million to the Spartan Ventures, the capital to Spartan Ventures, that is something that's very intriguing to me, because that's basically $100 million towards getting players NIL funding and directly paying players NIL funding. So that's basically an investment where some of it will be paid directly to players, but others is going to be in getting Spartan Ventures off the ground and get them to really become more attractive to donors and get even more money thrown into Spartan Ventures to continue to build and to directly pay players. That is something that's very intriguing to me, and I think can help Michigan State compete at the highest level, especially in terms of NIL and the arms race there that you have with paying players. That is really the main thing that stands out to me, that $100 million. I'm excited to see how that plays out, how much they're able to start paying for classes, because obviously you're not going to get $100 million every year from the same person. So I'm excited to see how they both spread it out and elect to divvy it up between the different athletic departments. Obviously, I think football and basketball should be the top of the line, and I do think that $290 million will go a long way in improving fan experience along with recruit experience in facilities and game day experiences in Spartan Stadium over there and the Breslin Center and Munn, which both of them just recently got revamped in the last 15 years. And you're already talking about having even more of a facelift to those programs. And that's super exciting for the big three on campus when you factor in, I would say big four with women's basketball also playing at Breslin.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll just kind of add this, those in the Michigan area may listen to 97.1, which is the radio show outside of Detroit for sports talk. Mike Valeni had a quote when Jay Batt was hired. If you want to be a top 10 athletic department, you have to spend like a top 10 athletic department. Now you're having the resources to do so. So it's time to just put it up and spend. So you're doing it. Yep, you're going to have the money. The resources are going to be available. So let's spend it and let's go. Start putting together.
Put the money where your mouth is.
Yep. Start putting together some classes and some facility upgrades and let's run with it. So that will be all about that. There will obviously be more coming out with the Fort Sparta stuff in the donation initiative. As things go on, we'll try to update you if we hear any new information on exactly what things are going for or anything like that. I do want to touch on basketball real quick. Most of our basketball talk will preview tomorrow's game against Duke at the Breslin Center, but I do want to just really quickly hit Tuesday. We hosted Iowa in our Big Ten opener. Spartans won 71-52. Really wasn't close. They really started attacking Iowa and really never let up. it was good to see the Breslin was rocking with it being Coach Fitch's first day on campus. Like I said, he was there pumping up the crowd too, and momentum was sky high, and they really used the home court advantage there. Emmett was there, and I know we kind of touched a little bit on socials about the game. I just wanted to shout out the Spartans for that win and Coach Izzo's next Big Ten win. We had, what was it? Jackson Kohler had 12 and 11. Jeremy Pierce had 14. Cullen Carr had 15. So the usual suspects really just kind of taking
And
it
Jesse
to our...
McCullough with 9. Don't forget him.
Yep, Jesse
I was just
McCullough
gonna
with
say
9.
he played really well.
Yeah,
Yep.
so Jordan Scott had 6 as well. So
I just want to point out this team, this Iowa team, by all metrics, they're actually pretty good. They were the top non-ranked team in terms of votes received, so they were basically the 26th best team in the country in the eyes of media.
they were 7-0 going in.
Coaches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see, that's my whole spiel on it right there.
Fears, I was just gonna say, into Jeremy Fears and Denim Wojcik as well, they put Venom Sturts in a box.
100%.
Welcome to Big Ten play, Venom Sturts and Ben McCollum. Welcome to the Breslin. Welcome to Jeremy Fears, and we'll see if Jeremy Fears can do that on tomorrow against Duke.
And that leads us right into that. Tomorrow noon, Fox, number 4 ranked Duke, 9-0, coming into the Breslin Center to face number 7 ranked MSU. Like I said, tip off at noon. ESPN's basketball predictor index gives Duke a 69% chance to win.
Nice.
Which is interesting considering the line opened with MSU as a 1.5 point favorite. That has since flipped, and Duke is now a 1.5 point favorite. But kind of interesting that Vegas initially did not agree with that assessment. But hey, it's Duke. They're Duke. They haven't missed a beat since Coach K retired. Cam Boozer coming in as obviously National Player of the Year candidate, playing really well, averaging almost 24 a game, shooting about 56% from the field. So he is a very, how do I want to say it? He's a very good player that needs to be kind of covered and addressed at all times. And then Duke, yeah, it's going to be a tough test, but the Spartans have had a very tough non-conference schedule. They've been well tested, and so far Coach Izzo has really been able to navigate in and out of some of these games. So we'll see what matches up tomorrow. Like I said, for the betting people, 1.5 point Duke favorite. The over under is 138.5. So and that's according to DraftKings. So guys, what are your initial thoughts? What are we thinking for tomorrow? It's going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you on that. I think Cam Ward being back is necessary, in my opinion. Obviously, he didn't play against Iowa, but he's a guy that I think you can throw at Cam Boozer and let him be physical. You're also going to need better performances from like a Carson Cooper. I didn't think he was that great against Iowa. I think he's going to be a big part of, at least defensively, I think he's going to have to be a little bit better. I think Jeremy Fears is going to be a guy that's going to try to shut off the water on any Duke's guards. And I think this might be one of those approaches that we've seen Izzo done against quote-unquote stars like Zach Edey. I'm not saying Cameron Boozer is Zach Edey whatsoever, but we saw Izzo when he goes up against stars, he kind of lets the stars kind of get theirs, but then shut off the water on everyone else. I could see that approach. If you don't necessarily go that approach, I think the best really approach you can do is let Cameron Boozer like be as inefficient as he possibly can. Now, I think he's going to get his, obviously, but there's a difference if he goes like, let's say 15 for 18. That's not going to probably end very well for MSU. But if he goes more like 11 for 18, 10 for 18, 12 for 18, that might go a little bit better for MSU. So I think it's about making him as inefficient as possible. I think he's going to obviously be efficient throughout there. I think it's going to be about kind of letting him get his by being inefficient, but also shutting the water off from the outside too.
Yeah, I think you have to put yourself in the position where you have to make him beat you in terms of if everyone else is being clamped and if he's stuck playing iso ball, I think that's the best possible outcome for Michigan State. Now that said, I think he's an extremely talented player, but overall, you just need to be able to basically, if you can get everyone else when they are not at their max and competing effectively, been the way that Michigan State finds a way to victory against these Duke teams, because they've played them enough times that it feels like no matter what time you play Duke, they have at least one, if not 3 or 4 stars. So you need to be able to at least create it so that they have to have all the shots fall, and they have to have one player to be a Robin to Boozer's Batman. I think that's basically what you need at this point. You need to have someone making those miracle shots. That's MSU's path to victory, is forcing Duke with the hard shot. And I do think you get the benefit of it being at home. At the same time, I am concerned, and who knows what the status of Cam Ward could be with the wrist sprain. He could be fully back 100%. But if he's not, I do think there is a little bit of concern there, because I think Cam Ward will be relied upon just because of the size you have. This is a team that Michigan State still needs to get their 2 figured out. So as long as you're not losing by 35-40 tomorrow, I don't think you can make a ton out of this being a loss. If you lose by 15, okay, it's a learn. It hurts a little because you thought you were a lot higher up than you were. But this team is not close to the ceiling, in my opinion. Although, yes, they are competing at a high level right now, I would not say that they are a high floor ceiling team by any means. They're a team that they have a high floor, and I think they still can continue, especially when you can get these transfers going. And Fort, it is worth mentioning, both Fort and Fort and Divine Chukwu were both under the weather before the Iowa game. They should be back to full. It was just a head cold or just a common flu or whatever, was what Tom Izzo said in the press conference. So they should be back to full strength, and we just blew out Iowa, number 26 Iowa, by 20 points with your 2 guards sick and probably your 5th best player on the team, I would say, in Cam Ward, out. So I think there is a lot to like for Michigan State, and I'm very interested to see this matchup, but I really am going back and forth on what I would define success as for this team right now, because even if they lose tomorrow, I still feel very high and very confident on this team.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And I won't really add anything else. I think Cam Ward's going to be a difference maker. He's played Cameron Boozer a lot growing up through youth ball. So I think, kind of using a local analogy, you get the Amik Robinson, Justin Jefferson. They grew up together, and whatever reason, Amik can just seem to really get in Justin Jefferson's head. Hopefully Cam has that, or Cam Ward has that on Boozer tomorrow. So, and I don't think we really need to do predictions. I guess maybe if I had to pick, I would say I got Duke winning by a low amount. I'd love to be wrong. I think this is the early season game that gets us. I don't know if you guys want to add a quick pick before we go into hockey, because we're running against the time here.
I'll say Duke by about 7 is my prediction. I just think you're going to have free throws be the difference on Michigan State. Yeah, they went 22 of 25, but they went 22 of 25 on Tuesday. But I just don't see Michigan State having the Breslin rims favor them in a close game like this right now.
Yeah. With that being said, I'm going to be the contrarian. I think MSU gets a massive win, and I think this is kind of like MSU's here, and I think you can say that they already are. But I think this will be the moment that everyone's like, okay, this is a team that can get better, and this is a team that will improve. But this is going to be a statement win, I think.
That'd be great. Sure. You win tomorrow, and you got a real good shot of entering 2026 undefeated. So
yeah, for sure.
Speaking of, formerly undefeated teams, but our hockey team is still top tier in the country. We'll real quickly hit it. Emmett's about to be over there in a little bit. They're in East Lansing tonight. Number 1 team in the country, the Michigan Wolverines, are coming to town. It's Hate Week Hockey Edition. MSU coming off a couple weeks ago, a rough series against Wisconsin. Got the ship righted against Colgate, last weekend. Colgate. And then now we've got Michigan for a home and home, our usual home and home at the start of the year. East Lansing tonight at Munn, and then Yost tomorrow. And then Adam Nightingale's team will have a couple weeks off before the Great Lakes Invitational. But should be a very interesting game tonight. This rivalry is always hostile, and on the ice especially. Michigan's had they've got a talented team. They're kind of, I knew they'd be good, but to be this good so far, it's kind of impressed me. So I think a lot of what's going to dictate is what kind of shape their goaltending shows up in. They've been able to score a lot of goals, but they haven't played a goalie like Trey Augustine quite yet. So if Trey can minimize some of that, I think we have the potential to be able to take advantage of that. So, you guys, any thoughts on hockey?
It'll be a great game. It'll be a fun game. It'll be a raucous atmosphere, a great start to a weekend of hopefully a lot of great MSU sports. But let's get a win tonight at Mon. Let's go to Yost tomorrow. Let's just start this weekend with a couple wins over Michigan and hockey. Let's get a win over Duke. And let's have a great weekend compared to maybe the last couple of weekends we've had for MSU, especially football-wise.
That's fair. I do think a player to watch this series is going to be Porter Martone. I mean, 19 points through 11 games or something ridiculous. I think Porter's going to be your guy to watch, and I think he can definitely make the difference because Michigan State and Michigan themselves both struggled against Wisconsin in terms of giving up a ton of goals. Second game, really, you saw Augustine be more clamps lights out on Wisconsin. You didn't really see that with Michigan. If I'm not mistaken, there were about Wisconsin got 11 goals in that series,
Yes.
and I think the offense for Michigan State is at the same level as Wisconsin, if not, depending on the weekend, better. And I do think that is going to be the thing to watch, is that if Michigan State can have those opportunities and advantages to send the puck home, I think that can make the difference in this series. Personally, I'm feeling that this is going to be a split series. Each team gets their home ice, but I would love to be wrong with a Spartan sweep, and I'd hate to be wrong with a Wolverine sweep.
Yep.
Yep.
Agreed. I'll go out on a limb and say I think the
all of
Spartans
us
are
are
going to
leaning towards all of us are feeling a split series, right?
No, I'll go out and say MSU takes both. I'll say MSU takes
Okay,
both.
I like it. I don't hate
like
it, and I think it's very plausible. I think both of these teams are talented enough, and it's the first time they see each other this season. I think that you might have more feeling each other out before you really see who the dominator in the state is when it comes to round 2, round 3, round 4.
Yeah, I could easily see it being a split. Yeah, absolutely. But I think because of Porter Martone and the physicality on top of the goal scoring, and then because of not having to play Trey yet and a goalie like Trey, I think those are going to be the X factors. But we'll see. 8:30 puck drop tonight and Big Ten Network for those who aren't going. And yeah, let's get some dubs. We beat Michigan. We always want to do that. Real quickly, I'll end with my last piece of hockey news so far. Congrats to Eric Nilsson, Riker Lee, Shane Van Sage on all being named to the junior national teams for their countries. I'm assuming Porter Martone is shortly coming with Canada. I would think
that's announced Monday.
Yep.
We got clarification from MSU spokesperson. It's getting announced Monday, so we'll find out.
Yep, and I would think that there's a decent chance Caden Lindstrom makes it. There will be a few more Spartans maybe when it's all said and done representing that haven't been announced yet, but so far those are the ones we know. So congrats to Riker, Shane, and Eric Nilsson, and it'll be fun watching you in Minneapolis at the end of the month compete for World Junior Championship. So anything we missed, guys? I know, Zach, you got to get going, but
I think we hit it.
All right.
Yeah, I think we hit everything. I mean, we hit the transfer news. We're all caught up now, for once.
Yeah, that gets you pretty much square, and just in time for the rest of us to have a bunch of news come out and have to do another one of these big catch-up weeks. But we appreciate everybody tuning in. The stuff on signing day and with Coach Fitz and stuff, the videos have been doing really well. The episodes have been doing really well. The social media engagement, we appreciate all you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Keep checking out the socials, the website, the podcast pages, of course, because we've got a lot more fun stuff coming. Emmett will obviously be at the game tonight, tweeting out some instant reactions, and yeah, let's continue this good week of MSU sports. Like Zach said, maybe add a few more wins to the resume this weekend. So appreciate you guys joining me. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hit us up on socials, email us, comments, whatever, and we'll be back next week. And go Green.
Go White.